Hey everybody, welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Well, it's another hot day out here. Not any breeze today, it's just hot and humid. Yesterday it was breezy, so hanging clothes on the line, they got dry pretty quickly, but it's taking a little bit longer today even though it's hot. So I'm hanging laundry out again. Cheyenne has been working on taking care of her little turkeys and the little chickens and guineas, and then this evening she and Blade are going to be moving some of the turkeys and the guineas into another pen up here by the bigger chickens. They're going to come out of this smaller area and go into an area where they're still protected. They won't be in with the big chickens, but they'll be close to the big chickens. The 4 little Rhode Island Reds, we have a place that we can put them, and that'll introduce them to the flock where the bigger chickens can see them, but they won't actually be able to get to them. And that way they get used to them, and then there's no, bullying and no picking on one another and all that kind of stuff. And so the birds are coming right along. They're doing pretty good. We have lost a couple of the turkeys in the heat, had a couple of heat-related problems with them. The little chickens that we got in, we lost one of them at the very beginning when they first arrived. We had one that expired, but we haven't lost any of the guineas, and the little Rhode Island Reds are doing well. So we're counting it as a win, and we're going to be looking forward to what the future holds with them. Cheyenne is excited about her birds, and she's learning a lot. She's never really been hands-on with little chickens and poultry, and so this is a new and exciting thing for her. And she's having to take a lot of it on because Blade works out he actually works over in Arkansas, and so by the time he gets home, really it's time in the evening for things to be settled down, and so Cheyenne is taking on a big part of that, and I'm enjoying watching her do that and learn the process of taking care of poultry, and she's having fun with that. So like I said, I've been out here hanging laundry, and I found a shady spot. That's one thing about here where Howie and I set our mobile home and have built up through the years. We were right in the cow pasture, and so there are trees up at the road at the entrance to our property, and there's trees scattered, of course, out through the farm. We had some great big beautiful pecan trees, shade trees, but they're not right up here by the house. We do have one that was kind of a twofer tree, and part of it had to be taken off. Howie and Blade took it off a few years before Howie passed away because it was hanging out over the house, and there was always a fear if storm blew it that it would hit the house. And so we do have that particular shade tree on the south side of our house, but for the most part, all of the shade areas that we have in our yard are areas that we've had to create ourselves in the last 14 or 15 years. I think it'll be 15 years in August that we've actually been back on the farm. And so we've had to develop that with fruit trees and crabapple trees and maple trees that we have planted. We have new little walnut sprouts. The squirrels are very nice and kind to plant those walnuts for us, and we have walnut sprouts coming up everywhere. And although we had a designated area for walnut trees, that would be a perfect thing, but we don't want them in the yard, and we don't want them in our flower beds because walnut trees produce a chemical that stunts the growth of a lot of things that try to grow around walnut trees. And Rosa Sharon doesn't seem to have a problem with it. I have a huge Rosa Sharon out there that has no problems, but lilacs and other things, they're stunted. And so I had to hunt down shade. So I'm actually sitting under the carport, and you guys are sitting on the back of the farm truck, and we're just going to have a little conversation here. you would have to be hiding under a rock to not realize that campaign season has started, and you see new people throwing their hat into the ring. Not necessarily on a daily basis, but there's a lot of people that have thrown their hat in the ring that they're going to be running for national offices, state offices, and your local offices as well. And from now until next November, we'll be listening to all of the campaign slogans and campaign pitches and the nasty commercials that come out and all the things, mudslinging and all the things that tends to happen when people are campaigning for positions. Now, I have learned down through the years, and I'm sure most of you have too, that they're going to tell you what you want to hear, what they think that you want to hear. Not only does it happen with politicians, but in the media and other sources, a lot of times they, for whatever reason, have got it in their minds that we as the American people, or even people, even you subscribers that are in other countries, the powers that be believe that you cannot handle the truth. And so they do their best to try to persuade you to follow a path that maybe a path of least resistance on our parts, and that they don't have to fight the resistance on that when we say we don't like what you're saying, we don't like what we're hearing. And so they will either tell you what they think you want to hear, or they'll get your attention over on something else. Now, I know in my area, I haven't seen, of course, any commercials as of yet of the candidates going back and forth on what they believe, why they're a better candidate than what anyone else is. But we are starting to hear a little bit of their platforms, what they're standing for, what they believe in. And for the next few months, they'll be saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe, this is how I can fix your taxes, this is how we can do this. And they begin to make a lot of campaign promises, not just on the national level, but the state levels, and even at your local levels. I know that we have people around here that'll say, well, if you vote me in, I'll do this for the road, I'll do this for the schools, and we'll do this with the jail system, and whatever it happens to be. Well, what we need to remember, and what I challenge y'all to remember during this season of time, by the time it gets down to the last few days and hours before time to vote, way down in November of next year, I'm sure a lot of us will be ready to pull our hair out, because we'll have heard the commercials, we've heard the promises. By then we'll have listened to the debates, and we have kind of got an idea of what we're going for. Now, some people always vote one party or the other party, and there are some people that vote for the person depending on what it is that the person is telling them and how it lines up with their beliefs and their convictions. What we need to remember, and in fact, I saw a quote the other day. It says, I hear what you're saying, but I see what you're doing. And we need to remember throughout the campaign season, when they're throwing out all of these things, those that are wanting to be in office, those that are already in office, listen to what they're saying to you, but watch what they're doing. It'll tell, in some instances, it'll tell a different story. Now, it would be awesome if we could get someone that what they were saying they were going to do and the actions that you were seeing out of them lined up together. Then I would say that that's the person that I would want to make my next leader, my next person that I wanted to vote into office. That goes through all parts of our lives. Listening to what they're saying, but watch what they're doing. You know, it's easy for us sometimes pay lip service, to say what we think people want to hear, and we promise handouts. They promise all kinds of giveaways and all kinds of free money and all kinds of things that they really can't follow through on. They make these promises, and then they get in there, and either it's too taxing of a thing, they have to get both sides of Congress to work together, and that you know how that is, and it's just ridiculous, the things that are promised. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about when they promise something, because to help individuals. I know there are times that a person needs a hand up. They don't need a hand out, but they need a hand up. But they need to be able to overcome obstacles that are in their way. I myself have had to have a hand up before. I'll be honest with you and say that there were some rough times after Howie passed away, and there are still rough times. And I have received a hand up. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about, but we go forward and we press past that, and we have to get ourselves to a place where we want to be for the greater good. We want to see our country succeed. We want to see our people succeed, be successful, and live good and happy lives. So I would challenge you in this season that's ahead. You're going to hear a lot of promises. You're going to hear a lot of far out there promises. You're going to hear some things that's going to sound doable, but you have to watch their actions, and you have to see if what they're saying lines up with what they're saying is lining up with what you're seeing. And the media has gotten into an area that they don't just report what the news is. They commentate, and they tell you what they think that you need to know, and they explain it to you. And sometimes it's a good thing, because there are things that I have no idea what in the world they're talking about. I know the last campaign season, Howie and I were laughing because we learned some new vocabulary words, because it seemed like someone would start using a word when they were on a news program being interviewed, and then the next thing you know, another person was using it. And then it was a new word for you to be able to use, or just know what someone was talking about when they used it. We need them to quit that. They need to be honest and forthcoming with the American people, and just report the news as it is, not report it with a slant so that they can get you to believe one way or another, but just be truthful and honest. That's what we need today, is truth and honesty. The people need that. We need to be able to discern what's right and what's wrong. And when someone is looking in a camera lens and telling us during the debates or on an interview, whatever it happens to be, we need to be able to see through the falsehoods, through the fake smiles, and through the empty promises, so that we can make informed decisions about the importance of our country going forward. This is an important election. I know that it's a long ways away, but it'll be here quicker than you know it. And I thought about that quote about listening. I hear what you're saying, but I see what you're doing. And we as the people, we can handle the truth. We don't need it sugar-coated. We don't need all of these polls and all of these numbers thrown at us, and to be told that we need people to decipher it for us. Just tell us the truth and let us discern what we believe. We're watching. Watch this campaign season. Listen to what they're saying, but watch what they're doing. Those that are in office now, those that are wanting to be in office, pay attention to that, because that's the best way for us to ensure that we get the right people to do the job. Okay, guys, I know that I don't normally talk politics. That was Howie's thing. He liked to talk about politics, but I just couldn't get away from that thought that it's time now to start paying attention to what they're saying and what their actions are. This is Josie. I love you guys. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household, and that includes watching out and making informed decisions. Until next time, guys, we're gone.